She's back. Oh my god, she's back. Oh, and no one even knew she was leaving. Hi everybody and welcome back to the podcast. You're listening to Be Candid with your host Amber, which is me. If you are new, if this is your first episode, you are going to get a real insight into what's been happening with me recently, because I just want to have a little bit of a debrief, a little bit of a chat. I am home alone Christian. My boyfriend has gone to the skate park, so I have officially instilled girls' night happening tonight with you guys here now. As you're listening to this, it may not be nighttime. It is for me. But so much has been going on, so much has happened, and I just really wanted to catch up with you all, which I'm so happy I kind of had that urge, because the reason I kind of took a little bit of a hiatus, shall we say, I think it's been like 2 or 3 weeks, maybe more, that I have not posted an episode, and I am slightly kicking myself for it, just because I do really pride myself on my consistency. Like with YouTube, I've posted every week, if not more than once a week, for like 2, 3, maybe 4 years now. And even though like my YouTube videos don't get thousands of views or anything crazy like that, like I really try and keep up with my consistency. So I'm kind of a bit hurt that I let myself, like kind of cheated myself in a way and allowed myself to stop pushing through with episodes, uploading every week. I think I got to about 25 episodes or something like that, and then just honestly needed a bit of a breather. I started this podcast at the beginning of 2021, forgot what year it was then, really genuinely excited about it and had so many ideas, and I was like bulk recording them because I was so excited just to get on with the next one and the next one, and it just felt super effortless, super easy. But recently, like the last couple of weeks before I kind of took my break, quote unquote, I was really struggling to kind of find the energy to record an episode and upload that, and it happened a couple of times where I forgot to upload and accidentally like uploaded on a Wednesday instead of a Tuesday and everything like that. And I was like, this isn't fun. Like, it's not fun for me, and if it's not fun for me, I doubt it was fun for you. And I think that kind of reflected in the numbers and like listeners and everything like that. So honestly, I just took a break. I don't really know what shifted or what made it a bit more difficult. I don't know if it's just because it's me sat in my room and I can only have so many things to talk about, especially during lockdown when there is not much going on. It can be quite hard to kind of like pull topics from thin air and like research enough to talk about it for like a significant amount of time, at least in the way that I would enjoy it or the way that I want to get it across to you guys. It was getting quite tricky. And obviously, I have got my windows open, so sorry if you can hear the London traffic. It's something you gotta learn to love about London. But yeah, I was hoping to have like guests on and everything, but with COVID it just felt a little bit awkward, and I still don't know if I'm like fully comfortable asking people to kind of like hop on and have a chat. But obviously Christian's been on a few times, but other than that I haven't had any guests, which I'm sure I will eventually. But yeah, I was just feeling a little bit like, I don't know, a little bit downhearted with like kind of the whole situation. So I kind of just took a little bit of a step back, and I think the reason that I've been able to kind of re-inspire myself or get motivated today is because I've been on annual leave for like the last 10 days, I think. No, that's not right. Maybe like a week. I've been on annual leave for a week. So I do have more time on my hands, because I think that's where I was struggling, was with like the working the 9 to 5, and like with TikTok and Instagram reels and normal Instagram posting, I could kind of fit that in like in my lunch break or between meetings and stuff quite easily, because it's so quick. But setting aside enough time to A, research the topic, B, plan it out, and then C, sit down, record, film, upload to Anchor, which is like my publishing website, as well as YouTube, because I film these as well, was just a lot. It was a lot. So yeah, I did kind of fall behind on that, which I am a little sad about, but I think it's more, I don't know, it feels more natural this way. It feels like I'm being honest, feels like I'm being true to myself, and I don't think I necessarily need to have the pressure of posting every week, because I have got a lot going on right now. Like, social media is kind of crazy, which I think is really boring to say if you're like not in the social media world, but if I put it into perspective, I post probably 3 in-feed posts on Instagram. I post maybe 3 to 5 reels every week. I try and post at least 2 TikToks a day, and then adding on my YouTube video, which I try and film, edit and post every week, once a week. And then to add the podcast on top of that, like I was just stretching myself way too thin, especially with a 9-to-5 job on top of that, as well as having now a social life now that things are opening back up again, because I love to do these podcasts like in the evening when I feel like I'm having my girl downtime and I can kind of hop on here and just chat to you guys about literally anything and everything, whereas I was kind of filling up my evenings by hanging out with friends and having spontaneous nights out and going to the pub and watching the football games and things like that. So yeah, I was just spreading myself way too thin, but that's all to say, I've hopped on here now to chat to you, and hopefully I'll be able to like pick up the microphone a bit more often, but I'm not going to hold myself to it. I'm just going to kind of like pop on as and when. I'm still going to try and mainly upload on Tuesdays, just so you kind of know when to expect. So basically if you see it at 8 a.m. on a Tuesday, you're like, oh great, Amber's uploaded. But if it's not there, I'm not uploading that week, just so we kind of know what we're expecting. But today, getting into the main gist of today, I just wanted to have a little life update, because there has been so much going on, and honestly, like, taking that break from the podcast was so needed. And it was really funny because I had thought about doing it for a really long time, like the last maybe 3 or 4 episodes. I was like, oh, I really don't know if like I want to post this or if I want to be doing this. Should I just stop the podcast altogether? And it's like so coincidental, because the day I spoke to Christian about it, just because like I needed a sounding board, I kind of needed someone to say that it was okay if I didn't post an episode, because I don't know if it's just like me putting too much pressure on it, like putting too much pressure on myself in terms of consistency and making sure that I post every week, or if part of me felt like you guys were going to be upset with me or feel like you were like missing something if any of you like rely on this podcast, which could just be me being really big-headed, because I have absolutely like no, what's the word, like nothing to back up that statement at all. Like, I think the podcast right now has like 1 review, but I know I'm not always like the most active follower, but I do love people's content, and that's shameful for me to say. I should definitely be more active, but I understand that like not everyone hits the like button or comments or something, but you could genuinely enjoy that person's content. So I was kind of having these like mixed emotions about it, like, do I, don't I? And Christian was like, no, it's fine, like just take a break, like just stop it if you don't feel comfortable with it, blah blah blah. And on that same day, I got a DM on my personal Instagram, not like the podcast Instagram, from a lovely girl who listened to the podcast for the first time. And she was saying about how we're similar ages and she can really relate to some of the stuff I was saying, and that she really enjoyed the podcast. And I'm not kidding you, like that was the first time anyone had ever like reached out and said like, oh, I really like what you're doing, or I really enjoy the podcast, or like keep doing it kind of thing. And I kind of took that as a sign from the universe that I shouldn't put a full stop to it. Like that can't be the end, because that was kind of my proof that someone out there is listening and enjoying, which I just thought was so great. And just, yeah, I took it to my heart. It meant a lot. So yeah, that's why I couldn't let it go, you know. I had to hop back on. So I think the first place we'll catch up on is the fact that I freaking graduated, which I graduated in May 2020, so it's been a while, but I like physically went to the ceremony, which was so much fun. Oh my gosh, it was so much fun. I could probably do a whole episode about it, but I'll like try and tie it up in a nutshell. Basically, it was like, I why do I do this to myself? I say I'm going to tie it up in a nutshell, and then I start my next sentence with basically. We all know it's not going to be a nutshell. Basically, it was like on and off. It basically got cancelled at the start because of COVID. It kept getting pushed back and back and back. And then we finally got a date set in July. July 19th was the date of my graduation, which when I found that information out, I cried. And they were not happy tears. They were sad tears, because I was supposed to be in Spain on the 19th of July. And it just stressed me out. I am such a planner, and I always have like these kind of thoughts, or like I kind of manifest these pictures in my mind of what my holiday's going to be like, what the next month is going to be like. And when that changes, I think because I'm such like a type A, I find it really difficult to kind of wrap my head around. So I kind of went into like complete meltdown. I was like, oh my gosh, everything's ruined. Obviously had a down chat with my type B boyfriend Christian, who's way more laid back than I am. He was like, Amber, it's fine, like we'll just come back from Spain early, we'll go to Spain for 5 days. And in the end we decided to actually cancel Spain, just because if I had gone and then had quarantine, if I had tested positive for whatever reason, I would have missed my graduation, which I'm sorry, but after 4 years of university, after watching so many other like students before you graduate, because you literally get graduated, the ceremony is on the grounds of the university, so I'd be walking to my lecture seeing people graduate. I just couldn't miss that. I just couldn't do it to myself, and I felt like I owed myself that kind of milestone occasion of passing that threshold, like shaking the Vice Chancellor's hand like I have officially graduated, and celebrating it properly, because COVID had cheated me out of that before in 2020. So yeah, and then it was the whole debacle of figuring out how I was going to get my parents there, just because my parents separated when I was 5, I think, and are not the best of friends, to put it lightly. So I was trying to figure out what time my graduation was going to be. Like, all the details were very vague, whether my parents would have to sit together, if I was going to do something with my mum before, or my dad before, or my mum after, or my dad after, like trying to figure out all the logistics. And basically the details of the graduation ceremony kept changing. So I think 3 days before the graduation, they said, oh no, I think it was like 2 weeks before the graduation, they said that all guests would have to sit outside, watch the graduation on a screen, whilst the students were sat inside, like obviously attending the graduation, which kind of sucked, because my parents were travelling a long way from like Bournemouth to London, so it's about, I think it's over 100 miles, like 120 miles, to watch me graduate, and to have it on a screen and then sat in a different room kind of felt a bit weird, because I knew my graduation was going to be live streamed, so if they're watching it on a screen, they may as well have watched it at home. And so my dad decided that he would not come to my graduation, and he would watch it at home, and that he would take me out on Friday for lunch in London, which is actually tomorrow, and I'm very much looking forward to it. But the whole reason why that was is because you only get 2 tickets at my graduation. You don't get any extra tickets this year because of COVID and everything, restricted numbers, yada yada yada. So it basically meant like I had my 2 parents having their tickets. Christian would not be able to come to my graduation, or my stepdad, or my nan, or like any extended family or friends, nothing. So he kind of made the decision that he wouldn't make the trip, because he got back from Scotland the day before, bless him. So I was like, that is absolutely fine, and actually, as kind of harsh as it is to say, made my life a bit easier, because then I could kind of just be focused on my boyfriend and my mum, and kind of not have to worry about conflicting parents or anything like that, trying to spread my time between my parents. So that kind of made it a bit easier. And it actually turned out, I think the day before graduation, they were allowed to sit inside, so they could be there in person, which was so lovely. Like having my mum there, my stepdad, and Christian. My stepdad didn't come in, but we took like photos beforehand and stuff, had a couple of like glasses of Prosecco and champagne, and my graduation was so much fun. Honestly, like my mum cried like a baby, bless her. She's so sweet. Like, I don't know, I just love that woman. But my sister didn't go to uni, so I'm like her only child that's gonna have graduated or whatever, which she really probably doesn't care about, but I think it just, seeing it like materialise was just a moment for her, you know, because she had her own graduation and everything like that. So that was really special, and we went out for lunch afterwards, which was so lovely. I think we went to the Sail Loft in Greenwich, which I think is a variation of a Fuller's pub, but it was really good, really nice, and obviously like right on the riverfront, so you know the parents are gonna love it. So yeah, it was really fun, and I'm just so happy to have graduated and seen all my classmates. It was so hot. It was, I think, 30 degrees, and I was in this huge hat and cloak, like dripping, and oh my gosh, I wore the most awful shoes. This is where we get into the girls' details of what I would tell my best friends. I wore these, like, they're not even that high. I think they're 4-inch chunky heels from Primark. I bought them maybe like 3 or 4 years ago. I've probably worn them 3 or 4 times because they destroy my feet. I remember them being uncomfortable, but I have never known pain quite like this. I was fine at the very beginning, kind of taking the photos and everything because I was just kind of stood in one spot. Then I kind of shuffled round in my ceremony, nearly fell. I nearly tripped on the steps. I mean, I did trip on the steps, but I didn't fall over. I was very close, but apparently my parents didn't see it, so I don't know if I was hidden behind a pillar, but it could have been really bad. It could have been a Jennifer Lawrence moment, you know? If you know, you know. But it wasn't. I managed to save myself, thank goodness. But at the reception afterwards, when we were like drinking our Prosecco, I took off my shoes. I was that ratchet girl at university at this beautiful campus in her cap and gown, barefoot, because my feet hurt so bad. And from that moment on, I like decided to walk to the restaurant where we were having lunch barefoot. I put my shoes on, bless me, strapped them on to walk through the restaurant. Obviously I wasn't going to go in with my skank bare feet. Took them off under the table, and we were sat outside and they had just washed down the tables, so there was like a little puddle of water underneath the table, so I was like bathing my feet in it. Honestly, the feeling was glorious. I know it's disgusting. We all know I'm a grub by now, this is not new information, but it was so nice. So I did that and then walked barefoot all the way back to the car home, and it wasn't until the next day that I saw the damage to my feet. Guys, I am quite blister prone. I get blisters a lot. If you're not into like feet or like blisters or anything too gruesome, you might want to skip ahead. But I basically had blisters like right underneath my big toe and my middle toe, like on the ball of my foot. I have blisters on both feet there. I have one blister in the crease of my big toe on one foot. And that's very painful because obviously you kind of need the ball of your foot to be able to walk. So since then, it's now... I had my graduation on Monday, it's now Thursday, and my feet still hurt walking place to place because obviously I've got blisters on the balls of my feet. I also had blisters on the back of my heels, both heels, quite bad, like, oh no, not blisters, sorry, scabs. Like, the shoes literally cut me, literally shredded my legs, because they're the ones that have like a strap around your ankle, so where the zip was up the back. I don't know why, I don't know if I walk at a funny angle or what, but it kind of like cut into my calf, I guess, or like my lower calf, my ankle, back of my ankle, and that scabbed quite heavily, I want to say, which was not that pretty. And what made it worse was the day before, or maybe the morning of, the day before, I think, I shaved my legs, obviously, because I was wearing like this little black dress under my gown, so I wanted like nice smooth legs, not that anyone was going to be looking that closely, but just for me to feel more put together. And I had accidentally cut the back of my leg exactly where scabbed up, or like just above, so that made it even worse because I already had like a slightly open wound or like a weak spot on my leg there, and yeah, it just made the whole situation worse. And what I've never had before is across the top of my big toe and my fourth toe, I've got like, they literally look like burns. Honestly, I don't know what happened, but I think where the strap was across the top of my foot, it was just rubbing. I don't know if it was from the heat and my feet were swollen or sweaty or like something was going on there, but I've never had anything like that, like on the top of my feet. So yeah, it's not the most glamorous thing right now. I shan't be wearing sandals for a while, but it is what it is. My feet were a very interesting colour when I got back to the car. London is not very clean. I don't think that's news to anyone, but that was the story of my very glamorous, very well organised graduation. But I actually had a phone call with my nan earlier, and she was just saying like, these are all things that you'll laugh about looking back on, which I think I can already, to be honest. Just so ridiculous. But I'm happy that I got to have my graduation. Like, I'm so lucky that they held out, because I know so many graduations were just cancelled or were online, and I can only imagine how like gut-wrenching that must be for all of the graduates that obviously worked so hard to get their grades, and to not have an in-person graduation would be just really difficult. So if that's your case, my heart does go out to you. So I'm sorry for bitching about my graduation for so long, but I just thought it was quite a hilarious little story time. I'm getting toasty. London is so hot right now. I know if people are watching this on YouTube, they're going to be like, shut up, you're wearing a freaking sweatshirt, which I am, because my favourite season is fall or autumn. I freaking love autumn, and I don't know if it's just because I'm an October baby, so I always feel like you like the season that you're born in, but I love the autumn colours and layering and the freaking sweatshirts. And sometimes, you know, it's great to be in a little cute summer dress, but I was in kind of an uncomfortable summer dress all day, which was my own fault. I could have worn something else. But I got out the shower, like Olaplexed my hair, did all the business, like fully new woman sat here in front of you, and just really wanted to wear a sweatshirt. So I've got the tiniest, skimpiest shorts on, which luckily you can't see, but I have got a sweatshirt on. It is a cropped sweatshirt, so I'm getting some like underbreeze, but it's a lot cooler now. It's in the evening, but it's been so hot. It's been like 30, 32 degrees, which, if you're listening from a foreign country, may not sound that bad, but when you put it with the fact that not many places have aircon, I do not have aircon in my house. I currently have every single window open and a fan on, and that's currently like how we're trying to survive and not overheat and swelter, and the tubes and everything are just unbearable. And I'm one of these people, I never understood boob sweat because I don't have like massive boobs. I think I'm like a size B, C at a push. I once got them measured and this lady told me I was a 30D. I was like, girl, in my dreams am I that size? I'm part of the small itty bitty committee, shall we say. And so like I don't really have like a boob fold, you know, there's not like sweat does not gather there. My arse, on the other hand, why does no one talk about arse sweat? Is it just me? Am I just a freak? But on the tube, when I'm stood there holding the rail or whatever, I can literally feel my butt sweltering, and I'll be wearing like a skirt or something. I just don't understand it, so I've been trying to avoid the tube at all costs. But I'm very happy to be in my sweatshirt right now. But the other like life update I wanted to give you is about mine and Christian's annual leave, because obviously, like I said, we were supposed to be in Spain. It's not happening, but I still wanted to keep the annual leave because I think we both deserved a holiday. We've been working solidly since January, I want to say, which obviously that's what, like 7 months of just no break, like 5 days a week churning out work, which obviously has been fun because it's like my first proper job as a graduate after being furloughed for so long during lockdown. But also, like, you can only do so much before you just need a bit of a brain break, I like to call it. And although we're not in like a foreign country, which would be lovely, not that anything is wrong with like our house or London or anything, we love it here, but I do think there's something exciting about being in a new area, new culture, and having kind of the hotel experience or Airbnb experience where you don't really have to do like the washing, you don't have to worry about the bills, you don't have to like hoover up, all those kind of things. At least like if you have room service and stuff, or like cleaners, you don't, which I always love about a vacation. But we decided to keep the annual leave, keep the holiday, and just spend all the money that we would have spent in Spain here in London, which obviously is very easy to do because London ain't cheap, we all know that. But we have been to some really cool places, so I just wanted to like chat about some of the places we've been, giving you some of my recommendations if you too are a London gal like me. I think my favourite place has been a restaurant we went to, I think on our first day of holiday. It was a Wednesday, we went there for lunch. I think we went there at like 2 o'clock. It was fully booked. We went to Seabird, which I can't remember where it is. It's South London. But it is stunning. It's a rooftop seafood restaurant, which if you're not into seafood, definitely don't go because that's like literally all that was on the menu. And I would say only go if you're prepared to spend a bit of money. Like myself and Christian bought a little carafe of wine, which is like 500 mils. We had oysters, which I'm not sure how you feel about oysters, but if you've never had them, I would highly recommend them. I've had them a couple of times and they seem super intimidating, but I don't know what it is. I'm a big fish gal. Like I love seafood, and sometimes the oysters can be quite fishy, like mussels almost, and I love mussels. So I don't know, I love an oyster. It was Christian's first time trying it and he really enjoyed them too. We also had baby squid, like fried baby squid. Kind of like calamari, but they were literally whole baby squid. So kind of a bit gross, like they were kind of staring you out a bit. Not alive, obviously, but they had eyes and stuff, which is kind of creepy. But so tasty. We had octopus roll. We had... What else did we have? Oh, I remember we had these prawn croquettes, and they were gorgeous. But all of that came to £90, which is a lot of money to spend on lunch. So yeah, just bear that in mind if you're going. But the views are stunning, literally views all across London, like 360 views. The place is so well decorated. The service is next level. Everyone was so friendly, and just would highly recommend it. Like if your parents are coming to London, or if it's a birthday or an anniversary or something like that, I would definitely recommend it. Just something kind of different to experience, something with a lot of good food, very good wine. It was just good all round. We also, basically we just ate a lot. We went to Smokestack. I was going to say Smoke Shack. That's not right. We went to Smokestack in Shoreditch, which was really good. Kind of like a smokehouse with burgers and pulled pork. Delicious. Oh, I just had a bit of a choking fit. Sorry about that. Obviously salivating too much thinking about all this food. And I think last night was also one of my favourites. We went to Archlight, which is a cinema at Battersea Power Station, which I don't know why I've never gone there. It's so pretty, like views of the river and everything, so lovely. Definitely a more expensive area, like not the cheapest. There are definitely cheaper places in London. I mean, the cinema tickets were £16 per person, which I thought was kind of ludicrous, because I swear cinema tickets used to be like £5, so not sure what happened there. But me and Krishna had not been to the cinema in maybe a year or 2 years, something ridiculous, and we used to go quite a lot, like early dating. So we decided to go to the cinema and watch In the Heights, which was so good. Like, me and Christian love a musical, which I'm so happy he does, because I'm a big fan. I would say Christian's more of a musical fan than I am, to be honest. Like, he's been to the theatre and stuff way more than I have. So that was really fun, and we both love Hamilton, and it's by the same guy. These motorbikes, so rude. It's by the same guy, so we kind of knew that we would enjoy it, and it was based, obviously, in Washington Heights, which is, like, a very, like, Latina neighbourhood and everything like that, Latina community. So it was so fun. It literally felt like we were in a different country, like, immersed in a different culture. There was so much, like, Spanish in it, like, just so much, like, rich culture to enjoy, which was so much fun. And the music was great. Like, it was just so nice. We had, like, popcorn and fudge and some drinks. Oh my gosh, I got frozen rosé from, like, a slush puppy machine called Frosé. It was so good. Definitely not the highlight of the evening, but just wanted to point out, like, if you're ever considering getting a slush puppy rosé, would highly recommend. It was really good. But yeah, definitely go see that movie. And if you haven't seen Hamilton yet, definitely watch it, because I mean, it's a bit intense. It's very wordy, because it's just like every single word is either a song or a rap, so it's quite intense, but really good fun. Definitely if you're a bit of a theatre nerd. Although saying that, if you are a theatre nerd, you've probably already seen it. But yeah, other than that, we've just been kind of having a few picnics around our local area. We also went to Sushi Revolution, which is our, like, local sushi restaurant, which is kind of weird to say. Basically just a sushi restaurant in Brixton, but so tasty, such good food. And we bought a lot of sushi, so I think I filmed, like, a TikTok and an Instagram reel about it if you want to check it out. But oh my god, the food was so good. I left them a 5-star Google review, which I never do, but I was just so blown away. So I was like, you get 5 stars from me. But yeah, that's kind of how we've been spending our annual leave. I think the last thing we're doing, obviously my dad's coming up tomorrow, which will be really fun. But we are also hosting our first barbecue. I say at our new house, I keep calling it our new house, but we've lived here since February, so it's really not that new. But it's the first time that we'll have, like, all of our friends over. And so that will be really fun. I'm hosting, which I love. I'm an event manager, if you didn't know. So, like, hosting is kind of in my DNA at this point. And I haven't been able to do it with COVID and everything. So it's going to be so fun having everyone round. I'm kind of stressed out about how many salads I'm making. Christian is in charge of the barbecue. He's doing the burgers and the chicken. But salads like potato salad, watermelon mint salad, watermelon feta salad, all these things, is up to me. So I'm going to be a busy gal on Saturday. I also kind of need to tidy the house, because we all know it's got a little bit chaotic over here, so I shall be doing that. I think some of our friends are going to be staying because we're playing beer pong and having drinking games and stuff, but I just think it's going to be so much fun. I am kind of scared about the weather forecast because it is predicted to storm, which is just my luck. Like, it's been glorious weather all week and you're telling me the one day I want to have a barbecue, you're going to storm? I think the hell not. So I'm praying the storm goes away. It said it was going to storm on Tuesday and it didn't. So I'm praying I get that luck on Saturday. But I'm just so looking forward to having a full house and having all my friends here. I also think it's the first proper time where like all of my friends and all of Christian's friends are going to be like in the same room or same garden, the same venue. So I think that will be really fun as well. And yeah, I think that will probably wrap up our holiday, or our annual leave will probably be a little hungover on Sunday and cleaning up the rest of the house. And I honestly don't know how I feel about going back to work. My job has been kind of interesting, obviously starting in lockdown and then just figuring it out, like how it works, and obviously planning online events, which is not what I learned at uni at all, and now it's all converting back to in-person, which one, I'm so thankful for, but also two, I don't know how to do because that's not what I've learned at this point. So I'm kind of relearning my role, which is exciting. It's a new challenge, but I've really enjoyed my time off. I actually think today was the first day that I kind of felt just a tiny bit bored for like a split second, but I think that's just because I'm PMSing right now, so I think I was just feeling sorry for myself. And the weather has been ridiculous, and I think I got to the point today where I was kind of over it. I was like, yeah, sunbathing in my paddling pool in my back garden is pretty nice, but I've had enough. There's only so much sunbathing a gal can do. Listen to me and these first world problems, oh my gosh. But yeah, we're back to reality on Monday. I don't know how it's going to hit. When you're listening to this, I'll be back at work on the grind, but hopefully everyone will be nice and have done try to kind of keep everything tied up for me nicely so that I don't have too much chaos to go back to on Monday morning. But I'm kind of nervous about it because I just haven't obviously left work for 7 months, so that's going to be really interesting to see what I go back to. But yeah, I'm excited to get back. I think this time has been kind of a good chance to reflect as well, just to see how I would spend my days if I wasn't working, and what I prioritize and what isn't as important as maybe I thought it was. And I think it's definitely things that I could implement into my work day, maybe getting up a little bit earlier, or making sure I fit in my run and everything like that. So I think that will be really interesting, probably talk for a future episode, I'm sure. But I think I'm gonna wrap up this episode before I bore you far too much. I think as well, I reckon the half an hour mark is kind of a sweet point for me, because I always love podcasts that are 45 minutes long, but I think when it's just you and you're not bouncing off anyone, 45 minutes is a very long time to talk by yourself. And I kind of get a bit paranoid, or get imposter syndrome of oh no, are they getting sick of hearing me talk for far too long about nothing? Because I could literally do it all day, and I know if you're still listening at this point, you're probably not bored, but I'm just going to cut it short. I'm just going to save myself from the paranoia and overthinking too much, because like I said, the type A personality is strong within this one. So thank you so much for listening. I'm sorry I have been MIA. I will be sure to update you next time when I decide to take a break, or when I'm uploading and everything like that. So make sure you keep an eye over on our Instagram page, which is at To Be Candid Podcast, to keep updated with everything behind the scenes, when I'm posting, when I'm not posting. I'll try and be as transparent as possible, just because I really appreciate that, so I'm sure you guys do too. Thanks so much for listening along. I hope you've enjoyed this episode. If you have, be sure to leave a 5-star review like I did for Sushi Revolution. Go ahead and do it for me over on Apple Podcasts, because that would be so much fun. I do genuinely love hearing your feedback and responses and what you think about the podcast, or any recommendations. So if you did just want to send me a sneaky DM, keep it on the down low, or comment on a post or whatever, feel free, because I would love to interact with you guys. And yeah, I'll be back at some point. Probably not next week, maybe the week after, maybe the week after that. I'll keep you posted. I'll be back at some point, and hopefully I'll speak to you very soon. Bye.